After watching longtime outfield mates Marcell Ozuna and Giancarlo Stanton shipped off, Christian Yelich's days with the Marlins were obviously numbered. He made his unhappiness with the team known, and finally found his new home Thursday, as the Marlins agreed to send him to the Brewers in a deal that returned 4 minor league players to Miami. The return for Yelich dwarfs what the Marlins received for either Ozuna or Stanton, while Yelich helps the Brewers get further along the path to contention, and the team added Lorenzo Cain shortly after. It's a deal that helps both teams, and could also be a win for all involved parties from a fantasy perspective. Let's break it down for both teams. Home sweet home for Yelich finally. You probably already know that Christian Yelich is pretty good. He owns a career 290, 369, 432 line, and has 39 homers and 25 steals over the last 2 seasons. He's a solid contributor across the board, and a solid top 20 type of outfielder for fantasy. He's probably even better than you think. Over the course of his 5 major league seasons, Yelich ranks 86th out of 155 players. Min. 1000 PA. In WOBA at home, with a 334 mark. That's not bad production, especially for a player who can swipe a few bases. But it's nothing special. He has been special on the road, however, ranking 18th in the majors with a 363 WOBA. To put that in perspective, Yelich has hit like 2017 Corey Seager on the road, and 2017 Adam Jones at Marlins Park, and now he only has to play 3 games at Marlins Park next season. The news gets better, because he's not just hitting anywhere, he's hitting at Miller Park. Yelich is moving from one of the toughest parks for left-handed batters to one of the best. So expectations should be a lot higher for Yelich in light of this trade. He's never going to be a 30-homer guy, of course, but then you look at his spray chart from last season overlaid over Miller Park's dimensions, and, well, it's fun to dream. Yelich could develop into a legitimate 25-homer threat, in addition to being a pretty good bet for something close to a 300 average, 15 steals, and a ton of runs hitting at the top of what should be a very good Brewers lineup. And, with how hard he hits the ball consistently, there is the potential for a Daniel Murphy-esque explosion if he starts elevating the ball more. Yelich is already in the top 15 in Scott White's outfield rankings. And while it might be tough for him to jump Marcell Ozuna and Andrew Benintendi to move up in Scott's rankings, he has some room to improve for Heath Cummings. Heath had Yelich 20th in H2H and 26th in Roto before the trade, and it's not hard to see him moving up in light of this trade. It's a clear upgrade for Yelich's fantasy outlook. This Brewers lineup got even better Thursday, as they added Lorenzo Cain on a 5-year, $80 million deal after announcing the Yelich deal. Cain enjoyed a bounce-back season in 2017, hitting .300, 363, 440, and gives the Brewers yet another athletic table setter at the top of the lineup. He may not benefit quite as much as Yelich might by the park improvement, but it's a nice landing spot anyway. Cain should be among the first 20 or so outfielders off the board on draft day. A glut in Milwaukee, of course. It is worth noting that the Brewers probably had more players than spots in their outfield before adding a pair of all-stars an hour apart, so they aren't done yet. Ryan Braun probably isn't going anywhere, though he also can't be counted on to play even 140 games at this point in his career, which limits his fantasy appeal. Kean Broxton and Domingo Santana have shown the ability to be useful fantasy options, but they won't be that in Milwaukee in 2018. We'll see where they end up, because Santana especially will be a valuable fantasy player with a full-time role. Stay tuned. Some Marlins are actually worth getting excited about. The Marlins are going to be one of the worst teams in baseball in 2018, maybe the worst, and that's by design. What's worse is, they won't even be very interesting for fantasy purposes. Having traded DeGordon, Ozuna, Stanton, and now Yelich, the Marlins may only have one player left you'll even consider drafting in the top 100, and J.T. Realmuto may be following Yelich out the door shortly. You won't be drafting anyone they received in this trade in the top 100 in 2018. But that might change as soon as next season. The Marlins acquired outfielders Lewis Brinson and Monty Harrison, infielder Isan Diaz, and pitcher Jordan Yamamoto. An exciting bundle of talent. Let's go through each and see what their fantasy outlook might be for 2018 and beyond.